Today, for the very first time, I'm going to be listening to the brand new album from one of my all-time favorite metal bands. This is Foregone by In Flames.
I wanna tell you before I die. I want the life that I do it again.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another album reaction / review. I am so excited. Today is In Flames Day. I have been counting down to this day for so long. I think it's been over 6 months since In Flames announced the release of this album. I don't think that they announced the date of the album that long ago, but we knew we were going to be getting new In Flames. It's been pushed back way farther than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be coming out last year, but here we are, February 10th, I believe, of 2023, and I could not be more excited. I have heard from several people, just seeing things online and whatnot, that this album, that a lot of people are really enjoying this album. Now, usually what that means for an In Flames album is that they made a heavy album. So I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. But before I get into In Flames, I have just a few things I want to get into real quick. The first thing is that I'm going to probably talk a little bit at the beginning here about my love for In Flames and a few other projects that I have going on my channel coming up here. So just know in the timestamp or in the description of this video, there will be timestamps for all the different sections, including each of the individual songs on this album. So you can go right to whatever your favorite song is, or if you want to skip right to the end and just hear my overall thoughts, feel free to watch whatever you want. Also, just know that I'm going to try as hard as I can to include the audio from this album in the video, and I believe since In Flames is on Nuclear Blast, they have their settings on YouTube and everything set in such a way that I'll be able to include the audio, so you'll be hearing exactly what I'm hearing in this video. But just in case that's not the case, I will include a link in the description to listen along with me on Spotify and whatever else, hopefully. And you can start the album and listen along with me. Generally, I never pause the album, and I try to do it in such a way that you can just let the album go all the way through. Now, I will say I'm going to be listening to this on Spotify, and I only have the free version of Spotify. I do plan on buying this album, but I'll get into the reasons why I'm not actually purchasing that in a little bit when I talk about the album as a whole. But I just wanted to mention, I'm going to try to include the audio, but if I can't, try to bear with me and know that I tried to use the audio I tried as hard as I could. So the second thing that I want to mention is that I have some really cool, exciting things coming up here on my channel. And one of those is something that I think you might enjoy. If you're here to listen to In Flames, you're probably familiar with a little band called Metallica. Well, I wasn't that familiar with Metallica, and so it kind of seems like my entire life I've been saving up for this exact moment on my channel here. I am a metalhead. I'm a fan of metal. I love all different types of metal. Just recently I've been getting into more doom metal a little bit, and I've also been getting a little bit into progressive rock, prog rock, and prog metal as well. So my horizons are being expanded, as it were. And so I love all sorts of metal. However, with that being said, and I've loved metal for a long time actually. I'm 36 now, and I started to get into metal when I was entering high school and maybe even into junior high, and a lot of the reasons for me getting into heavy metal has to do with the WWE and the wrestlers' theme songs and just the music WWE used for their pay-per-views and things like that. That's one of the ways that I got into metal music. But the reason I bring all this up is to say I'm a big metal fan, and yet somehow over all of the years I have never listened to Metallica's back catalog. I've only actually heard one Metallica album, and that's of course the Black Album. It was one of the very first albums that I bought when I was little, because the Sandman and ECW came out to Enter Sandman, and then of course Enter Sandman, one of the most famous songs of all time, definitely I would say the most famous metal or heavy song of all time. But I actually enjoyed that whole album, but for whatever reason, I never went back and listened to Metallica's older albums, and I actually haven't heard any of their albums after that one either. I have heard some stuff from Saint Anger, and I know the songs that were like, I guess singles or whatever at the time. I Disappear was one of their big songs that I remember when I was in high school off the Mission Impossible soundtrack. But anyway, on my channel, I'm going to be doing something very exciting, and I already filmed the first of these videos, but I have a friend of mine who's also a big metalhead. He loves metal music, and unlike who've never heard any of Metallica's earlier albums, he's listened to them probably thousands of times, though he hasn't listened to them for a while, and I don't think he'd ever heard the remastered versions. So we very recently, I have my set exactly set up like this because we filmed a double reaction, meaning two people reacting to an album. I had my friend come over and we listened to Ride the Lightning, and I heard Ride the Lightning for the very first time. And I had so much fun filming that video. We actually recorded for 2.5 hours, just talking about Metallica and my expectations for about a half hour or so before we even got to the music, talking about everything I know about Metallica from pop culture and all these different things. And it actually was so fun to sit there and talk to him about all this, talk to the camera, talk to you guys about it, then to listen to the album, and then talk about it afterwards. Both of us are audio engineers. We both produce music, and we've produced music for other bands and our own projects and each other's projects, actually. So my friend Chris and I had such a wonderful time doing that. It's going to be an amazing video, I hope, when I get done editing it and posting it on my channel here. Hopefully I can use the audio in that video from the album as well. Really hope that, but I don't know how Metallica has their stuff set up. But anyway, that's something that's going to be coming out here on my channel. And before the release of Metallica's brand new album in April, which I am planning on doing a reaction to that as well, I'm going to be reacting to Ride the Lightning, which we already filmed, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All. So I'm very excited to listen to those albums. This Ride the Lightning one, we talked about Metallica the most. The next two albums, when we do those, I won't need to give my whole backstory and history on Metallica and the things that I know about them, so those videos will be shorter if a 2.5 hour video scares you. Though the rate I'm talking in this video, who knows how long this one will be. But anyway, I just am so excited to let you guys know that I've got some Metallica stuff coming up on my channel, and if that sounds interesting to you at all, please consider subscribing, even if it's just for the amount of time until the new Metallica comes out, or just, take a look for me or something on whatever. Write my name down or type it into your phone or something so you can look me up on YouTube and check if I've released these videos over the next couple of months. But I'm so excited to go back and do it. It was so fun doing the Ride the Lightning reaction with my friend Chris. And so just know that I've got that coming up and I'm very excited about it. Also on my channel coming up, we got so much good music already coming out this year. I just filmed my ARCs reaction and posted that to a fantastic album by the Arcs, Dan Auerbach's, one of Dan Auerbach's many projects. But we also have new, and this will show my width of genres that I enjoy. We have new Ellie Goulding coming out in March, and I am so excited for that. Ellie Goulding has never released a bad album. This is her 4th album, and all of her albums are phenomenal. It is so crazy, the risks that she takes. And if you're a big metal fan and you don't know who Ellie Goulding is, I guarantee you've heard some of her singles probably as you're walking around the mall. You might hate it, but you might also like it, so take that as a recommendation for me. Ellie Goulding, any of her albums are fantastic. But if you like guitar, which you're probably here for In Flames, you like guitar, there's a lot of really nice, very slow, minimalistic guitar playing on her last album, which I think is called, it's like Gold or Blue or something like that. It's got like a gold cover, blue cover. Anyway, sorry, her most recent album. But anyway, we got new Ellie Goulding, but we also have new Depeche Mode for the first time in 5 years. Cannot wait. New And One for the first time in, I think, 9 years. Cannot wait for that. And One of my favorite bands of all time. German synth pop industrial band. Fantastic. Cannot wait for that. We've got so much good stuff. I can't even think off the top of my head of any other stuff, but just know I've got a lot of things coming up on my channel. And just this morning, before I filmed this video, I filmed reactions to 3 brand new Paramore songs, because the brand new Paramore album came out today. So if that sounds interesting, go check that out. Though, spoiler alert, I didn't really care for it that much. But that's going to be on my channel probably before I post this video. Maybe not, I don't know. And I also filmed myself reacting to the brand new Linkin Park song that came out today that Mike Shinoda put together of some Chester Bennington vocals, an old sort of song that he retrofitted now to be a newer sounding song to release today, I think as sort of a celebration of the 20th anniversary of Linkin Park's second album, Meteora. So if any of that sounds interesting, know that my channel is going to be hopping. It's going to be the place to be for the first half of this year. I'm so excited. And of course, all of this is building up to my top 12 albums of the year video, which I will create and make in December of this year, laying out all of my 12 favorite albums for the year, which I'm going to listen to hundreds over the course of the year. So that's what all of these reactions are basically for, sort of listening to albums for the very first time with the goal of hopefully hearing the best album of the year and having it be my #1 on my list, which I'll keep track of as I go through the entire year. So if all that sounds interesting, if I haven't bored you to death up to this point, please consider subscribing to my channel. I have so few subscribers and so few people watching my videos that I can't monetize anything. I don't partner with YouTube. I don't have none of that stuff going on. So just, if you enjoy what you're hearing and what you're listening to and what you're seeing, although you're seeing me, so I don't know how you could really enjoy that much. But think about subscribing, like the video, whatever, do all that good stuff. Okay, so now we are here to talk about In Flames, and I am so excited because In Flames, for me, I mentioned earlier that WWE and pro wrestling wrestlers' theme songs and just the general music in general that WCW, ECW, and WWE/WWF used back in the day were a huge influence on me growing up. And so the first albums that I all purchased were like the WWE compilations and things like that of the wrestlers' theme songs. And a lot of the heavy music that I got into was because I heard bands and things referenced, whether it was on ECW, WCW, or WWF. And so that's how I sort of got into heavy music. And then In Flames is one of the bands that helped get me into real, what I consider to be sort of like real metal music. Not that the WWE stuff isn't, because a lot of it is bands that are metal bands, actually. Of course, I was like the Game with Triple H's theme song being Motorhead and whatnot. But In Flames for me is a very important and special band because they are one of the bands that got me into metal. For me, they are one of the 5 pillars of metal, my personal 5 pillars of metal, and those are In Flames, Soilwork, Demon Hunter, Raunchy, and Nemec. Those are the 5 metal bands that really got me into metal. And actually, you could throw Scar Symmetry in there as well. I love all of those bands to death, even some of the deaths of some of those bands. But I absolutely enjoy so much metal nowadays in all these different vast genres of heavy music. And a lot of it stems from In Flames, because In Flames was the first metal band that I really kind of got into, and it was on accident. I was listening to I believe it was the Freddy vs. Jason soundtrack, and one of the final tracks on that album, I can distinctly remember this exact moment. I was laying in bed listening to the Freddy vs. Jason soundtrack on my portable CD player with my headphones, and I was just on the verge of falling asleep, and I believe In Flames' song Trigger is at the end of that soundtrack. If not, I might be thinking of the Headbangers Ball Volume 1 soundtrack, but I think Cloud Connected is on that one. But In Flames' song Trigger came on, and I remember it starting, and I remember being too tired to skip to the next song, because normally that would be a song I would skip. You know, that song starts very aggressively with lots of double bass and all sorts of weird stuff, and the bass on that album is mixed really crazy and weird. Here's hoping for a remaster of that someday. I think this is actually the, 15-year anniversary of that album being released? I can't remember. Maybe it's 20th year anniversary. Anyway, I remember hearing that song and being too tired, and I was just on the verge of falling asleep, and it gets to the part in that song where everything kind of gets a little quiet, and Anders does a little bit of singing, and then it gets to the chorus. And I was jarred awake, and I thought to myself, I didn't know that you could have such amazing, sort of clean sung vocals in metal, in music that was this heavy. I didn't know that was a thing. Now, of course, I did know it was a thing, but it hadn't really registered with me. And when I look back on it now, In Flames isn't even one of the heaviest bands that at the time I really had been listening to. I thought of them as being too heavy, and then I heard Trigger for the first time, and it, like I said, it shocked me awake, and it opened my eyes to, literally, I guess, and metaphorically, it opened my eyes to metal music. And so I owe so much to In Flames. Since then, I've been a huge, massive fan of In Flames. I think I've gone back and heard all of their albums. I don't think I have every one of their albums, but I do have a big stack of their music here. I think it's pretty much all of their stuff. I'll just run through them real quick. I should have put these in order that I have them. I guess I do kind of have them in order from reverse. Oh, come on. So the first album that I have of theirs on CD here is Horacle. This is not my favorite album of theirs at all. Like, I definitely am someone that tends to... I do not hate In Flames that is a little bit more poppy, soft In Flames. I know so many people are just like, please go back to when you were making Clayman. Like, just remake Clayman. That's what people want so much. They want the early In Flames vibe. That's not what I want. I actually really enjoy their more modern albums a lot more than their significantly earlier albums specifically, not least of which is because the production is just much more phenomenal on the earlier album, on the more recent albums, although that's not even true for the last 2 albums. So let me just go through the discography here real quick. We have Horacle, we have Colony, I believe. This is a deluxe edition that I got after the fact. Obviously, I didn't know these albums when they were coming out. Clayman, right? Yeah, Clayman. Then I have 2 copies of Reroute to Remain. I don't know what the difference is between them. This one has like a black border, this one doesn't, so I assume it's a different release at a different time. But whatever, it's the same exact tracking, same everything on here. So love this album a lot. I think that the mixing on this album definitely leaves something to be desired. The vocals are too low across the entire album. This really needs to be remastered. It actually needs to be remixed and remastered, and I really hope we get that someday. Then we have Soundtrack to Your Escape, which was the first In Flames album that I got new when it came out. I went and bought this album, and I went into the whole story, my whole story of purchasing this album in my Soilwork album reaction from last year. So if you are interested in that, go watch that video. Which, if you like In Flames, you probably should like Soilwork as well. Though they're both very different bands now. But I mean, come on, they were such good buddies back in the day that they were each in each other's music videos for, I think, Trigger and song off of Figure Number 5, which would have been, what, Light the Torch, maybe? I think maybe it was Rejection Roll. Whatever. There's a Soilwork music video that has the In Flames guys in it. There's an In Flames music video that has the Soilwork guys in it. They're all from Gothenburg. They're all from Sweden. They're fantastic. This is what Gothenburg metal is. We get all that stuff. You know all this. This is why you're here. Soundtrack to Your Escape, the first album of theirs that I got as it was coming out, and I really do have a soft spot in my heart for this album, but and actually, it's mixed really well. It's. I love the aesthetic. I love the keyboards. I love that weird woodblock sound that like runs through the whole thing. If you listen to the album, if you've never noticed this, there's like a very reverb woodblock sound that kind of goes in the background of a lot of the songs. It's a very strange thing. I don't know why they did that or what they decided to do that. The reason for it, it totally works with the music. But if you took it out, you definitely notice that it wasn't there. But it's one of those things that when you hear it, you don't necessarily register it. But anyway, Soundtrack to Your Escape. And then we have Come Clarity, I believe is what it's called. Yeah, Come Clarity. And then we have My Shirt. This is when I got to go see them. Very lucky. I've actually been lucky enough to see In Flames live twice. I live in Nebraska, and when I lived in Omaha, Nebraska, now I live on a farm out in the middle of nowhere, too far from anywhere to go see shows, really. But when I was living and working at a recording studio in Omaha, Nebraska, I got to go see them twice. Once at the Sokol Arena, which is no longer there, and once at in Lincoln, Nebraska, at the Bourbon Theater. I got to see them play with Demon Hunter. But the first time I got to see them was when they were touring with this album. It had just come out. I think it actually wasn't released yet. In the Midwest here, a lot of bands start their tours in the Midwest so they can kind of test out their show, get a feel for how everything's working live, and up their performance so that when they get to the coast, the places that actually matter, they have a little bit of a tighter show. So we usually get a lot of tours that start here in the Midwest. And so I got to see them actually before this album was even released, which was really cool. But I didn't know some of the songs that they were playing, so that was a bit of a bummer at the time. I distinctly remember that. But they played obviously a lot of the stuff for their back catalog, and that was fun. And so this album I really enjoy a lot. This is, what is this even called? A Sense of Purpose, of course. I really enjoy this album a lot. I think the production with some of their albums gets better. Some of the production gets a little worse in terms of sonic quality. But I have the deluxe edition of this album, which comes with a really awesome DVD that's like a really long, like it's almost like I think 2 hours of them creating this album, and also finding out while they were recording this album that they were going to be included on that their song Take This Life, I think, was going to be included in Guitar Hero or Rock Band, one of the two at the time, and they were really excited. So there's like a really cool documentary that comes with this on this bonus DVD, if anyone wasn't aware of that, if you can find a copy of this somewhere, or maybe the DVD is even on YouTube, I don't know. So that's A Sense of Purpose. And then we have, I believe, Sounds of a Playground Fading, I believe, came out after that one. This is 2011, but when did Siren Charms come out? There's no year on here, but I think Sounds of a Playground Fading came out next. It's really hard for me to say what my favorite In Flames album is, but I think it might be Sounds of a Playground Fading. I definitely think that my favorite In Flames song of all time is Alias from A Sense of Purpose. I absolutely adore that song. I think it's fantastic. And I love a lot of In Flames songs, but the actual song, track 1 of Sounds of a Playground Fading, I think is maybe the perfect example of what makes In Flames so awesome as a band. And I think it's one of maybe the most pure examples of a metal song that I enjoy, that I would show people. I love the way it begins. I love the riff. I love the production. I love the chorus. I love the structuring. I love everything about it. But I would actually say I think maybe Sounds of a Playground Fading is my favorite In Flames album. I don't think it's necessarily the most consistent of their albums, or maybe it is the most consistent, but it doesn't have the high points that, say, Soundtrack for Your Escape or Reroute to Remain does. Interesting thing to think about. Then we have Siren Charms, which I actually really enjoy. And look at this. I actually have Siren Charms on vinyl. I don't have a ton of vinyl, but I got this when Siren Charms came out. 2014, the year is on here, but not in here. But that would have been right when I was working at a record store. I was also working at the recording studio in Omaha, but I was also working part-time at a record store in Fremont, Nebraska. And so I was able to order this and purchase this with my discount at the store, which was really great. I don't know, is this a colored vinyl? I'm not sure. Let's take a look-see here. Oh, yes, it is a colored vinyl. Look at that. Look at that cream color. Ooh, that's cool. I haven't ever actually listened to this, because why would I listen to this when I have the CD? Let's not get into that. But, yeah, so this is really cool. I'm really glad that I have this. And I kind of wish, I would way rather own the vinyl to some of their other albums as opposed to this one. But I do think that their best produced album is Siren Charms. And I know a lot of people really hate this album, but I am not one of those people. I think this album is special for several reasons, but the biggest one of those reasons is the production. Like, metal albums do not get produced this way. Maybe they can't be, because there's not a lot of heavy moments on here, so if it was a very heavy album, maybe it couldn't have been produced this way, but I think the drums sound phenomenal. I think the bass sounds phenomenal. The guitars sound phenomenal. And Anders' voice just sounds incredible on this album. And I believe this is one of the albums that they produced themselves, along with Sounds of a Playground Fading. Sorry, that was my phone. With Sounds of a Playground Fading and Sense of Purpose. I think they produced... Actually, what am I doing? Why don't I have this set up in the background here so that you can look at it the whole time? Yeah. That makes more sense. So, anyway, I really enjoy Siren Charms a lot, and I know a lot of people don't. Then they released Battles, which in my opinion is terrible production. It is absolutely awful, like legitimately bad production. There is bad distortion on this. And when I say bad distortion, I mean someone mixed or mastered it so incorrectly that things were peaking, were distorting, when it was not supposed to. I'm not talking about intentional distortion or distorted guitars or distorted vocals. I'm talking, and I assume it was mastering. This album was, it's some aspect of this album, whether it was the mixing or the mastering, was done legitimately wrong. And I think it sounds terrible. And that's a real big shame, because I think there's some cool songs on here. And it's not my favorite album of theirs. Actually, I don't even like it as much as a lot of their other catalog. But the mere fact that it is just mixed so poorly is just so disappointing to me. And because of how bad this album is, I do not own a copy of I the Mask. I do think it's a much better album than Battles, but I think it was only slightly better. Still disappointing to me. But that year it came out, it didn't even make it onto my list of my top 12. And for an In Flames album to not do that, it's got to be a disappointing album. And so that's the discography of In Flames that I do own. I do have one more thing to shout out that's really cool if you're unfamiliar. This is the Passenger album. It's just their self-titled album. Now there is another band out there in the world called Passenger that had a huge hit when I was in college, I think. So be careful if you look this up, but you should clearly know or clearly realize when you have the right Passenger. But this is off of Century Media Records, and it is one of Anders' side projects. So Anders does vocals for this, and it is definitely a sign. Listening to this and then where In Flames went with their career is definitely a sign of things to come. But if you're unfamiliar with this album, I really recommend checking it out. It does sound a lot like In Flames, and if you've been disappointed with the less heavy In Flames over the last decade or so, you may find this kind of a bit of a breath of fresh air, even though there is a lot of really catchy hooks and singing on this. It does feel a little bit more like Come Clarity era In Flames, I would say. But definitely check this out. Again, it's Passenger. This is what the cover looks like if you look it up on on Spotify or something. Maybe I'll try to find the link and leave it in the description of this video if I remember to. But that's all my In Flames stuff that I got. So let's talk for just a brief minute here about my expectations for this album. As I have been saying, I have been seeing people giving positive reviews. I haven't read any reviews of this album, but I've seen people say that this is really good. I've seen just like in the thumbnails of YouTube videos and in the titles of YouTube videos, I've seen people say like, "Are In Flames back? Heaviest In Flames album? Best In Flames album ever?" And I've seen In Flames themselves posting on Facebook, which is the social media platform that I use the most. I still use Facebook. I don't have Instagram or Twitter or anything like that. But I've been seeing them post on Facebook just little articles and reviews and things. And in the pictures of some of those things, they'll say things like, "Best In Flames album ever, best album in a long time," all this. And so what that type of thing says to me is that we are going to get a much more heavy In Flames album. And I believe Anders himself has said, I think I watched maybe an interview with him a few months ago talking about the album. And I think that he said that after the pandemic and everything, they were just ready to write another heavy, dark album. And some bands, they sort of equate the heaviness with the darkness. Other bands don't have a problem making a happy song that's still really heavy anyway, like We Butter the Bread with Butter or something like that. But I believe that Anders and the In Flames guys that are left, because I know they've had band members change, and I am aware of the halo effect and things like that from last year. I thought that album was not really what I wanted. I think that's definitely more for people who like the older In Flames. So hopefully, people who have been wanting old In Flames for a while, for like 2 decades really at this point, people have been disappointed since I think Trigger even came out. They were disappointed that it wasn't Clayman again. But hopefully those people listened to the Halo Effect last year. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go look them up and you'll probably be very pleasantly surprised. But you probably know what I'm talking about with the Halo Effect. And so, the people we have that are still in Flames that are like original members and whatnot, and Anders, and it seems like they wanted to make a darker album, and so that to them equated to also making a heavier album. I don't know if they've just been, they've gotten all of the more, not that this album's not going to be melodic, I certainly hope that it is, but not that they've gotten all the poppiness out of their system over the last few years, but maybe that is the case, and they've gotten tired of doing stuff the way they've done it, and they're ready to make a new, more heavy album. I don't know anything about the guys who have joined the band as like the new members. Normally with a band like In Flames, I would not even hesitate to purchase the CD and have it here with me, and we would be listening to the CD instead of listening to the album on Spotify, which is what we're going to have to do. But one of the reasons I decided not to do that was because last year, my 3 most anticipated albums were Demon Hunter's new album from last year called Exile, the Editor's album EBM, and Blue October Spinning the Truth Around. And all 4 of those albums were horrendously bad for different reasons. Actually, all of them for production reasons and not songwriting. But the Demon Hunter album from last year is unlistenable, in my opinion. It is so poorly mixed and mastered that it is unlistenable. But I'm not here to talk about that, and I don't want to just, crap on music but possibly other people really like. But if you're a fan of In Flames, you're probably a fan of Demon Hunter as well. And man, what a disappointing their album was last year. But because of that, and because of the fact that I have almost no money whatsoever, I am so incredibly poor, I cannot afford to waste money this year on albums, on CDs that I do not absolutely love. So I've decided that this year I'm going to do all my reactions to stuff off of Spotify, and that will help me to get the videos out a little sooner, because if I order it off of Amazon, I don't have Amazon Prime, but if I order the CD off of Amazon and I have to wait like 2 weeks to get it in the mail, then, I can't post the video till later. So I'm recording this on the day the album comes out, so hopefully I can get it out sooner, and people will enjoy that a little bit more. But just know that's the reason I don't have the physical copy of the CD with me. Normally, I love to have a copy of the CD before I do a reaction so that I can read the liner notes and have the lyrics with me while I'm listening and go through things and get a feel for everything, even just looking at the pages of the liner notes before I do the reaction. So like I said, I don't even know the names of the guys that are in the band anymore other than Anders, and I think the guitar that's still there is Bjorn Delot, or is it Peter Peter Ewers. Oh, shoot. I'm getting my In Flames guys mixed up. Maybe even with Soilwork dudes. Because I always get Peter Ewers mixed up with Peter Witchers. Anyway, sorry. I don't want to talk about stuff that I don't know. My point was going to be that there was a point in time where I did know all of the members of In Flames. And a lot of them have left. Daniel, I believe, left the drumming due to some health issues. But then he did do the Halo Effect album. But I think he can't tour. So I'm not sure. But I don't really know the people who are in this band anymore. And the reason I bring that up is because maybe they are the reason the album is going to be a little bit heavier. And this is all me assuming that it's really heavy. Maybe it's a soft album and people just like it because it's really good songwriting. I don't know. But I think In Flames has always had really good songwriting. One thing that I absolutely adore about In Flames is every single thing that you hear in one of their songs that's not guitar, bass, drums, or vocals. They don't have a keyboard player in their band, but they have so many amazing, really cool elements that are in their songs that really help separate every song from every other song on the album, and even every other album from other albums, because every one of In Flames' albums does have its own unique individual character, and one of the things that gives those albums their character are the things that you hear in the songs that are what I always refer to on my channel as the sprinkles, the special sprinkles, the things that you, if you took away the guitar, bass, drums, vocals, what are you hearing in the song, right? Usually you're hearing some sort of like a synth pad, some little keyboards, maybe a little flitty thing. You're hearing distorted drum samples and drum loops, maybe even distorted vocals and things like that used as an effect. Maybe some guitar parts and things that are more of an effect rather than a guitar part, but all of those things to me are what really make In Flames special. Yes, it's great that they're dudes that play metal, and that's fantastic, but every metal band is made up of dudes that play metal. But Anders has an incredible, very unique voice in the metal world. He's a very good singer. He can scream with different pitches, which is not something that every metal singer can do, and he's been singing for so long. I have absolute faith in him to have a wonderful performance on this album. The guitar players, I'm sure, even the newer people who've replaced the people who left, whatever instrument they're on, I trust that they, In Flames, hired people who are probably veterans in the industry like they are, and they respect them, obviously, as musicians and people and stuff. So, like, I have faith that all the performances on this album are going to be fantastic. I hope the riffs are all really heavy and really cool. I don't expect a bunch of breakdowns like Lorna Shore or anything like that. That wouldn't be In Flames. I expect harmonized guitar parts. I expect really cool guitar solos. I expect phenomenal production. That's something that they haven't had for their last 2 albums. It's been very disappointing production to me. I think Eye of the Mask was way better than Battles, which was really bad. But before that, their albums were produced really phenomenally well. I think Sense of Purpose, I think Come Clarity, Sense of Purpose, Sounds of Playground Fading, and Siren Charms are all produced really, really well. They're produced differently. And like I said, each one has their own sonic character. But I think that they're all produced really well. And I think that drums are a big, important part of that. I hope the drums sound phenomenal on this. I hope everything sounds crisp and clear. I hope the guitars have nice tone to them. I don't really enjoy the guitar tones as much on Battles and on Eye of the Mask. So I'm hoping that they regress a little bit in their career and go back to having really phenomenal production. And if I had the liner notes with me, I could look it up on Wikipedia. If I had the liner notes with me, I could say this was produced by this guy, who is the same guy that produced this with them, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know any of that stuff because I don't have the CD. So I don't want to talk anymore. I've talked way too much probably for this. Hopefully you enjoyed some of that information. But let's get into In Flames. Before we do, I have one thing that I have to do. Look right here on my table, and I'll be right back with you in a second. I got something special this video. So for this video, I have something really special, although you probably won't care, but normally in my video, I usually drink a Mountain Dew. Look at this. We got the new Starry. This is the new sort of Pepsi brand. It's, I believe, to take place of the Sierra Mist to drink during the video. And so today I'm going to do something. I have my ice at the bottom of my glass, which is blue Tampico juice, something that's really hard to find where I live. We're going to pour the Starry over the ice. which the Starry's okay. It basically just tastes like Sierra Mist. I like it better than 7-Up, but not necessarily as much as Sprite. Or no, reverse that. I like it a little bit more than Sprite, but not as much as 7-Up. I think that's how that works. But we do this occasionally at my house. I know people use people use maraschino cherries for alcoholic beverages and stuff, which is not something that we drink at our place. But I've got some cherries that I'm going to put in here and some juice, and we're going to make this into sort of like a little bit of a Shirley Temple type of tasting thing. Why not? Why not throw a bunch of cherries in there? Can't throw the cherries away. Gather yourself. We are about to listen to New In Flames. Now, I will say I have heard none of this. I've heard not a single. I've heard not a second, not a microsecond of any of this at all. And that's one of the things that makes me even more excited, because I do not really know what to expect. Now, I mentioned earlier that we're going to be listening on Spotify. I only have the free version of Spotify. So when I get to ads, I'll try to cut them out in such a way that if you're listening to this all the way through, if I can't include the audio, though I think I can, I'll try to make it in such a way that you wouldn't have to stop your playing. I'll try to even things out. If I have a hilarious ad or something, I might leave it in there if something happens, or a blooper or something. But hopefully I'm able to use the audio, though. You'll be hearing exactly what I'm hearing. And I will clearly, regardless of anything and whatever happens, I will very clearly have labeled on screen always what song is playing, and I will transition into the next song and things like that. So it will always say what the song is that's playing. So you should very clearly be able to see listed on screen what's going on. Foregone. I hope that's what I called the album at the beginning of the video. If I didn't, I'm really stupid and I'm sorry. Okay, so it looks like we got 12 tracks, 46 minutes. Track length looks pretty good, a little over 3.5 minutes for all of them, with the exception of the intro song, which I assume is an intro song. Let me like the album, add it to my library. And let me see, I'm going to turn it down a little bit. I was just recently listening to Paramore, and their album songs weren't very loud, at least on their YouTube videos. So, February 10th, 2023, brand new In Flames, Foregone. Track 1, the beginning of all things. Hopefully the beginning of what might be the #1 album of 2023. Let's see. Let's go. Track 1, now. Acoustic guitar to start off the album. That's the way to do it. Now, what else are we going to get in this, though? That's what I'm curious. Mono recorded, but with a very big reverb, very roomy reverb. Now it's switched to recorded twice and like double tracked and spread wide. That way they can do... Ooh, we have cello. Or upright bass. And that sounds like a real upright bass. I think it's a bass. Could be a cello, though, playing low. Ooh, doubling the cello now, whatever that instrument is. Maybe even having a little chamber orchestra in there. Or a string quartet. Not sure, I didn't really enjoy that weird giant reverb at the beginning. Oh. Ooh, love that. Very pretty. Dude, it would be awesome if we had some strings on this album. That would be very different. I'm going to turn it up a little. I might have to turn it back down. We'll see. And I think me adjusting the volume here adjusts it for you as well, so sorry about that. Dude, this sounds folky kind of. In Flames music, their acoustic guitars have a bit of a folkiness to them. But I would not say that they've really done anything that I would consider to be folky sounding. Very cool. Love the harmonized acoustic guitar. Okay, now we're back to the middle guitar. Maybe the reverb is there to kind of help bring in that background, that bed. Okay, that's track 1. Now we're going to the first song, I assume. Yes. Ooh. Love that. Whoa! Oh, yeah. Oh, I love that. It's almost like a gun sound. Or explosion of some kind. Yes, it sounds good. Turn it up. Ooh, those drums, baby. Ooh. Oh, I love that good drum pattern there with the snare. Bit of a thrashy pattern here. So this is sort of like verse 1, verse 2. Well, I assume we'll be getting a chorus here. This is very typical. Ooh. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Love that low voice underneath there. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so no clean vocals at least on this song so far. And that just sounds like an In Flames guitar tone for the solo, harmonized guitar solo. Ooh. Oh. Nice harmony vocals in the background. They're all high passed, so there's no competing with frequencies. I love it. This is reminding me, the guitar riff and the production is reminding me a little bit of Come Clarity, the album. Yes, this is cool. Love it, yes. This sort of like pre-chorus part too, very nice. Slower feeling chorus. The vocals now taking over sort of the driving factor. Opening riff. Little drum sample, love it. That was really cool. It was almost jarring the way it ended there with just the holding the chord out. Really cool. Little string thing going on there too. Awesome. Awesome. What a way to start. Now, usually In Flames has their sort of singly thing at the beginning of their album. So we'll see. Love this. Yeah! This is the way Reroute to Remain should sound. Ah! Yeah, the cymbals. Interesting. Ooh. Drums off to the side. That's a very In Flames drum pattern there with that da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. God, they do that a lot. That's really cool. Not a lot of metal bands play that da-dum, da-dum, the kick pattern with the double, the 16th notes or whatever at the beginning on the one beat. Okay. Okay, call and response with the clean vocal distorted. Yes! Oh my god, it sounds so good. See, no, this is reminding me of Siren Charms. So crisp, so clear. Ah! And then this is straight out of Reroute to Remain. And if Reroute to Remain sounded like this, it'd be one of the best metal albums of all time. I love that pattern, that on the ride. Oh, cool. Double time it. Just one single vocal of Anders in the middle, just letting it be what it is. I love it. So this is sort of like the pre-chorus then. Oh, I love that. That mid-range to high-range guitar part. And then the stabs. That's so In Flames too. That's like Soundtrack to Your Escape era. That dun-dun, 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 dun-dun. Oh, that is so In Flames. Oh my god. Woo! Love the way that swept right into the solo there. Ooh, that scream in there. Ooh. Very cool, different. This might be a switching off of a solo to the other guitar member. Little harmony, gotta get it in there. Oh, yeah. Big guitar slide, pick slide. Oh my god, I love this so much. Oh. Track 4, Bleeding Out. Oh, yes! Yes, this is amazing. I love this. I'm probably so excited for the stuff that you guys don't care about, but oh my god, yes. Ooh, that's a cool. There's neat reverb being done there to make that sound feel bigger, whether it's like a snare sound. Snare reverb. Very cool. Oh! Oh, that's an interesting, like, stepping up feel there. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Oh my god. Oh, he has this nice guttural feeling in there. Maybe the songs are in a different key? It doesn't feel like it, but man. Oh, those vocal harmonies, the vocal layering. Oh yeah, that feeling of like, because you feel like you're gonna be headbanging, but you can't really with that dun 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 part. Oh. For the record, I'm not a headbanger type person at all or anything like that. Whenever I go to metal shows, I try to stand as close as I can and just watch the band without moving an inch. So. Oh my god, I cannot wait. If the whole album is sounding like this, oh. Oh, yeah. Love this, a bit of like a gallopy feel here. It's the same way the song started with that. Whoa, yeah, they're like the shredding this album, huh? Yeah. Oh, it sounds so good. I can definitely tell them. Nice there, a little call vocal. Echo vocal part. You can definitely tell there's lots of layering and music there as well, but it's nothing that's really standing out. You know, the guitars are moving around. There, that riff again. Awesome, amazing, awesome. Love it. Oh my god. We're 3 for 3 amazing songs. Foregone Part 1. This is awesome. To my knowledge, this is the first Part 1, Part 2. Ah, it's getting close to black metal sort of drumming. That's the way Soilwork plays half their drums on their last few albums. That blast beating. Ooh. I'm excited for Foregone Part 1 and Part 2, though. We'll see if they connect at all. It's really interesting for them to name the songs that. Okay. Ooh, some acoustic guitar in there. Really like that. The fact that they're willing to do that, even though I assume they can't do that live, very cool. I'm really glad they did that. I will definitely say so far the songs do feel a little bit stripped back in terms of all those sprinkles, but it doesn't matter. They're doing so fantastic. And there are still lots of layers of things under there. It's just maybe less in the forefront. Ooh, that's a cool synth part. A little reminiscent of Soundtrack to Your Escape. Oh, I love this. Oh, it's a cool riff. What is this? Like a shh thing in there. Shh. Shh. Sounds like cymbals, but it's interesting. Dude, the solos have been nice, and they're like double-length solos, every one of them, too. Really letting the guitars shine on this album. Oh, I love those, like, these, like, lower vocals, lower screams that he's doing. That's really cool. I really like, I don't think he does that very much on there. At least not as noticeable as this. Now, is this song going to transition right into the next part, then? Spotify is going to separate it if it... No, it's going to end, I think. Yeah, it just okay, it faded out there, so... Foregone Part 2. Okay. Oh, amazing. Oh, I love it. And that cymbal, that's very In Flamesy, that sort of splashy cymbal thing. I don't think that's a hi-hat. Ooh. Is this just an instrumental song, I wonder? Oh, yeah. Oh, I love it.
It's the one you despise with no tears to spare. How did we end up here?
Beautiful vocal harmonies. Interesting vocal effects still on it. Back to that first heavy riff of the song, I think. Is this maybe a chorus-y kind of thing? Nope. This is the chorus. It's so amazing because it's like a combination of everything they have done before. Love the inclusion of the acoustic guitars. Very cool. And that's the hi-hat. So the other thing I'm hearing is a bit of a splashy cymbal. And those toms are just awesome. Sorry, I got caught up in thinking about stuff there, and I totally spaced out for a second there. My goodness. Awesome. I think I do like that better than part 1 there. I don't know. Pure Light of Mind. Dude, I'm so excited. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more songs, including this one. I mean, we're halfway through, I guess. Yes. Love the guitar tone. I don't know if I mentioned that yet, but the distorted guitar tone is great. It's a little bit more granular, I feel, which might be a stupid way of saying it, but it feels a little bit more grainy. Wow. So this is 2 songs in a row with a majority of clean vocals, unless the rest of the song isn't clean vocals, but wow. Love it. Oh, I love it. Great. What a catchy chorus. And I love this. So you can have a nice low guitar solo on the lower end of the guitar, or the lower frequencies of the guitar, because there was just acoustic guitar and a little bit of noodling on the electric guitar there. So you couldn't really do that as much if the guitars were super heavy, obviously. It's a slow guitar solo, but I love that. So I love the inclusion of the acoustic guitars during the verses and stuff. The last 2 songs. Wow. What a fantastic chorus. And I think there's acoustic guitars in the chorus here too. Why not? There's this specific sort of like, I don't know if it's a compressor or some sort of an EQ on his vocals. I like it. It works really well. I feel like it's taking away... His vocals sound like they're very specifically EQ'd. And it's working really well with the rest of the mix. I mean, this is great. Just some very simple synth strings in the back there. Every song has repeated the chorus a 3rd time, which I absolutely love. Oh, so good. I would have maybe liked a little bit more of an outro on that song, but that's all right. Oh my goodness, so good. The Great Deceiver. love that. Very In Flames. Love the distorted drums. Yeah. Love the guitar riff here. This reminds me of something from Sounds of a Playground Fading. Oh, okay. Very cool. Okay. I kind of missed that first half of the chorus, that extra drum beat, that more groovy part, but that's all right. Very cool. A scream chorus. Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. The solos are so good across the album. I mean, everything is so good across the album. I love this. I love In Flames has never been afraid to like slow down for just a second. Not slow down necessarily, but quiet down for parts of their songs. He has such a particular way of doing the screaming. I love it. You know, the way he says, cry, like there's an extra little like syllable thing in there he changes. He's doing the same note, but he changes his voice. It just sounds just like him. I mean, obviously it's him, but it's a very Anders way of singing something, and I love it. Yeah. Sorry, I was checking my phone and I was looking on Facebook and I just saw that in April, Scar Symmetry is releasing a bunch of their back catalog on vinyl, which is really cool. I had an ad there, by the way. Ooh. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I love it. I mean, that is Children of Bodom. I love it. It's darker. It feels lower.
The pain that rage our scars.
Right? It feels... Oh my god, I love it. He has such a particular way of enunciating and forming his vowels and stuff that it's just so cool. I mean, he's like going dork, like there's a weird, not weird, there's a really unique, cool way that he sings that I love. It's so uniquely him. And that vocal harmony is really interesting in there. Yes! Love the stepping. Here's that happy sort of feeling again. I mean, it's not really happy, but you know, this song definitely feels like it might be in a different key or something. Yeah, back to the chorus. Oh. Oh, I love it. And do the chorus, repeat it again with the scream vocals. Love it. Yeah. Oh, that might be my favorite song on the album. I love it so. A dialogue in B flat minor. Love that. Now, I was going to say before he started singing that usually when a song is in B flat minor, key, you know, F sharp, whatever, usually that ends up being an instrumental song. So we know right away that ain't. Now, also it says a dialogue, which means like speech, so. Guitars sound a little bit muffled and muted here, but I'm wondering what's going to come in over the top of them. Some strings, okay. You wouldn't even hear that if they weren't a little bit muted. Very In Flames. I keep saying that, and it's an In Flames album, so it shouldn't surprise me. But it keeps doing it. Yeah. Ah! Oh, I love it. Oh, I love that. So simple. I love it. Oh. Whew. Oh my God. It reminded me a little bit of something there. I love this. Oh my God. I'm just flopping around like an idiot the whole time. I really love the way this song is changing the way it feels. You know, it's got a consistent, like, I'm consistently moving, but, you know, and then it slows down a little. I mean, it doesn't slow down, but, you know, the feeling, the drums are just phenomenal, the entire album. Just absolutely phenomenal. I want one of these cherries. Might have to fish those out later. The ghost in his head is back. Well, now that one's my favorite song, I think, on the album. I'm just so happy that we're getting a good album from one of the most important bands, to me, most influential bands growing up and getting into metal. Okay, Cynosure. I would assume the penultimate track on the album. Okay. Yeah, very cool. This reminds me a little bit of Siren Charms. You know, Monsters in the Ballroom, one of the coolest guitar riffs, one of the coolest songs In Flames ever did. But man. Ooh. Man, you don't get a lot of bass parts like this in an In Flames song. At least not that are, like, featured. Oh. What a great vocal melody. Yeah, that just sounds a little different for them. I like this sort of like clean electric guitar off to the side there. This is nice. I'm sure if I knew more about them, I would be like, this sounds kind of like Tool. But I'm not a fan of Tool. Wow. I love those synth pads, the synths in the background a lot. I love it. That's such a cool guitar part, the harmony part to the bass. I can't tell what he's saying there. It sounds like crows at the wheel. This is amazing. I love that they threw this towards the end of the album too, because it really makes it feel different, and it makes it feel like the album is, you know, this is the penultimate song, but to have this be the most sort of unique song on the album, really, I mean, with the exception of that first track, very smart, I think. Really curious what the next song is. The drum solo there, little drum. Oh, so cool. And just that slow guitar part in there. Well, it's like a little flangey part on the bass. Love it. I don't know what he's saying. It sounds like crows at the wheel. Really great, very catchy song. Vocals done really well there across the entire song. No screaming vocals in that song whatsoever. Nice. Okay, here's the last track, End of Transmission, unless we get an ad. Yes, no ad. Okay, this is the last song. End the transmission. Will it be a full song or will it be an outro? In Flames. Yeah, there we go, baby. Yeah. Look at that rising scream. Whoa. Oh, yeah. Love it. Very different feel. Kind of. Oh, so simple, and I love it. Oh, dang it. I just realized I forgot. For Christmas, my sister bought me a heart rate monitor, and I was going to try to hook it up to this. This would have been great. My heart, it was exploding. Okay. So much restraint from them to just go chug 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 chug, you know. Oh, I love this. Oh, that was cool, a little delayed. I love it. They're really playing with the swing of it. What are they going to do for the bridge here? You know the album's ending. Do something cool. Wow. He is doing lower vocals than he normally does. Wow. He's had those throughout the album, and it's really special. He has that sort of lower voice. End transmission. It's really nice, mixed in there a little higher. I was listening, and I was so glad that I did. Oh my goodness. That was utterly fantastic. That was phenomenal. That was, recency bias aside, I want to say that was probably the best In Flames album that I've ever heard. I think that was the best album that they've made. So consistent across the board, leaving the last two songs to be amazing, very different. You know, that penultimate song had that crazy bass part, and it just was felt different. And then that last song being a little bit slower and having the riff be intentionally simplified, and then the way the chorus was there, really cool. Just with the layering of the clean vocals and the distorted vocals and the screaming vocals and everything, and just, oh, amazing. Oh, it was so good. For a second there, I started just thinking about, like, I swear I almost started crying, and it was weird. But I just started thinking about, like, listening to this band across so many years, and just, like, how special they've been and to me, and, like, just how much I love their albums and everything. I don't know, maybe I'm just being a sap today, but that was great. I mean, fantastic. Anders' probably best performance on vocals that he's had on any of their albums, I would say. All the vocals were phenomenal. I think that the vocal melodies were memorable. I'll have so much fun singing along with these songs in the future. I think that the like I said, the melodies were memorable. They were very catchy. The vocal layering during all the clean parts was done in a very In Flames way, but there was very specific EQing and mixing things done to have the clean vocals stand out a little bit more rather than being drowned out. And there definitely was a lot of confidence on Anders' side of things to do this all the way that he did. I feel like he has definitely gotten obviously way more confident with his singing as the years have gone on, but this feels like the most confident he's ever been. Like, when they were doing soft parts, when they were doing less intense parts, he was giving his all. Not that he ever, like, phoned it in or anything in the past, but just, like, they really committed to the parts that weren't heavy. And I was thinking that this album was going to be committing to making the album intentionally heavier throughout, and that was not the case. There were definitely heavy moments. There were moments that felt like every one of their albums. This really did feel like the culmination of In Flames' career. Now, with that being said, I'm not as familiar with their earlier works. Like I said, I have listened to Horacle and Colony and Clayman, and I've listened to Clayman more than those other two, but to me, I am more familiar with Reroute to Remain and On, and I heard so much from every one of their albums, and I was trying to point things out when I felt like, oh, this feels like Soundtrack to Escape to me, or Soundtrack to Your Escape. This feels like Sounds of a Playground Fading. This feels like, you know, even Siren Charms in there a little bit. This feels like whatever. So I tried to point those things out, but I really do. There were certainly moments that felt like Trigger and felt like some of their more faster songs from Reroute to Remain, and even, I guess, a little bit from Clayman as well. But there weren't really any keyboard parts that were like leads in any of the songs, which was really interesting, and I think that that's okay. You know, I feel like they were trying to be a little bit more stripped back in certain ways. You know, I don't think that the electronics and the production, or the electronics and the programming elements that were in their previous albums were standing out as much here. You know, especially on their last two albums, there were a lot of things done, especially in intros and verses of songs, that were like almost sort of like lead things you were hearing that were very much one of the main focal points of a song that wasn't guitar, bass, drums, vocals. And I was talking about how I love all those things, and I do. But what they managed to do here was create something that the foundation of it absolutely was essentially the entire time guitar, bass, drums, vocals. And then everything else just sort of added a little bit to it, added like, thickening agents in the chorus, little things here in the intro and outro. And I think that they really did a fantastic job of balancing those things, but leaning much more heavy into their sound as a band. And I think that that was absolutely to the betterment of this album. If one tiny negative, I guess I would say, is that I feel like some of the songs just kind of, they did the last chorus and then there was a little bit of a riff and then it kind of ended, and that's the elements of the song that weren't guitar, bass, drums, vocals just kind of faded out. And it would have been nice to have a little bit more of an outro for the song. However, there's so many riffs in every In Flames song that they pick and choose which parts are obviously which section of the song, and then at the end of the song they usually kind of go back to that intro riff or sort of the main riff of the song, do it a couple times, and then it's over. I'm so glad they didn't fade anything out. As far as I know, every single song had the chorus repeated a third time, which if anyone that's familiar with my channel, I talk about two things all the time with every album. The fact that there's literally no excuse to ever fade a song out. I absolutely cannot stand it, and I don't think there's ever a good excuse to do it, and I think it's lazy songwriting every time. And the other thing that I always talk about is song structuring. And I know I'm definitely like sort of in the minority among like music fans, music snobs, music aficionados, if you will, in saying that I love a song to be structured. Intro, verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus, bridge, chorus, outro. That's what I want every song to be. I mean, I love it if there's extra sections in there, but I want the chorus to at least finish the song off every time. And it's very frustrating to me when you have a song that's structured verse, chorus, outro. I really hate that. And I just did it. The Arcs album, for example, just the one I was mentioning that I did last on my channel here, almost every song was structured that way. But the thing is, they put like a lot of effort into their intros. So there was like nice long intro, verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus, and then the song was basically over. Or there was maybe a little noodling or something. But little bit of a bridge, and then the song just kind of ended, and I was really disappointed with that. Here, I am shocked to tell you that I'm pretty sure I was paying attention and counting. Every single song, the chorus went back to the chorus a third time, and that was the ending of the song. And some of the songs, when I was looking at the time bar, I was like, well, they didn't get to the chorus for the first time till about halfway through the song. Then they did a quick little verse, and then another chorus, bridge, chorus, out. I loved it. And the bridges were always the guitar solos. I absolutely adored the fact that they structured the songs the way that they did. Every song, with the exception of two, I think had big sung anthemic sort of choruses. Well, not necessarily anthemic. That's a bad way to say it. But there was a few of their songs that felt like sort of anthems, But there were two songs that had screamed choruses. I believe is that first track, and then what track most towards the middle of the album. Maybe there was another one that had screamed choruses, but there were clean vocals still. But man, just what a really good mix of all of those things. There was way more clean vocals and quiet parts on this album than I anticipated. And again, that all goes back to what I was saying beforehand about anticipating this album being heavier because everyone was so happy about it. But I think that the reason everyone was so happy is that they just made a damn good album. And I'm so happy that people are recognizing that, even though there is still a lot of singing. I think a lot of times metal people can have just an issue when a band was super heavy at the beginning of their career. And this is almost all metal bands. They're super heavy when they start because they're probably influenced by, Slayer and Megadeth and Pantera and Metallica and stuff. And they start a band and they're not super great. And so they just play heavy stuff, and the singer doesn't really want to sing, but he has to because he's got the best voice in the band, and he starts screaming, and that's what it is. And I know that's being very general with things, but then over time they grow as people, they grow as musicians, they grow in their lives, they grow in their musical taste, and they start to incorporate all these different elements into their band. And a lot of those elements are going to be the opposite of things that they started with because they did that at the beginning of their career. And In Flames got very unheavy for a long time in their career, and I loved a lot of that stuff. But a lot of people felt alienated from the band that they had originally fallen in love with. Like, I totally get it. But this album felt like the perfect In Flames album. There was a lot of really heavy, fast riffs. The drumming was phenomenal across the board, and I might talk about that again in a second. But to my point about it, like every element of this was firing on all cylinders, and Anders is the thing that I feel makes, well, that's not even necessarily true. I was going to say Anders' vocals are the thing that makes it sound the most In Flames, but that's not even true. Like, they just have a way of playing a guitar riff or writing a guitar riff, having the harmonized guitar parts. They just have a way of doing it that just makes you think In Flames. And then when you obviously throw Anders on top of that, that's when everything is cemented as In Flames. But this just felt so In Flames to me across the entire board. And I mean across their entire discography, using influences from all of their albums, across the entire spectrum of sound that they've used on their albums before. It really had so much. Really had everything in it, and I'm so happy with it. Right now, this is my number one album of the year. We're only in February, and I've really only listened to one other album that would be a contender. But, like, there's no way, and I've said this before in the past, and I've eaten my words on this, there's no way this album doesn't make it on my list of my top 12, and I would be shocked if it's not in my top 5. We'll see. I get to spend a whole year with it, so I get to really appreciate it, but I also get to listen to it to the point where I do hear all of its faults, and I get to listen to it in different settings as well, which sometimes does change my opinion. But about the drums, I just want to mention that I think that one of the main reasons this album is so phenomenal is the drums. The drum patterns are incredibly varied, and even in each song, that's one of the cool things that I love to... There's a channel online that I watch, and I think it's just called The Metal Drummer. It's a very popular YouTube channel, and it's this awesome dude with this long hair that's a phenomenal drummer. I mean, probably one of the best drummers in the world. He has this great YouTube channel, but some of his videos that I really like of his is when he has a guitar riff, and then he just plays different metal drum beats over the top of it to show you how the feeling of a song can change depending on what drum beat the drummer plays over a metal guitar riff. It is night and day, the feeling with the same guitar riff. And I noticed that several times here where In Flames would have like the verse guitar riff, and the first half of the verse would be the drummer would be doing something particular, and then the second half he'd be doing something completely different, and it makes the song feel completely different even though the guitars are doing the exact same thing. So that shows you, that highlights the importance of the drums, and how the drummer choosing the patterns that he's playing is essentially choosing the feeling of the song. And it's almost way more important than the riff itself, because you can play a lot of different drum beats over the same kind of riff, and the drum beat is what determines how the song feels. And so I do not know who played drums on this album, but shout out to that dude, because it was phenomenal the entire time. I really think the drums stand out on this as being great, and I don't know if people are going to give that enough credit because the whole thing was so good as a package. It's easy for the drums to kind of get lost sometimes when you're trying to appreciate metal music, because drums really get taken for advantage. They get taken for granted a lot in metal. So I just want to shout that out. Like I said, everything else I thought was fantastic, phenomenal. I don't even think I have anything else to say about it because I thought it was so great. It was so good. I cannot wait to listen to it again. I love the fact that there were 11 full-length songs. That intro song was cool, but those 11, all 11 songs were great. They were all full-length songs. They all went to the chorus, I think, a third time, if not ending on the chorus. The choruses were all fantastic. The heavy parts were heavy. There were nice moments lyrically where I did notice a few lyrics, and that was very odd for me because I don't normally do that. I think that there were some moments where he didn't rhyme things in the choruses, and it stuck out to me, and I wouldn't necessarily say in a bad way, because I think it was probably done intentional. There were moments where he would scream something, and generally with In Flames, in a song that's all screaming, the chorus is still very catchy and memorable, and they do that on purpose because they realize that they're going to have a all screamed song, so people aren't going to be able to sing along with it unless they can scream. And so they still make the chorus catchy and melodic, like rhythmically interesting but also simple so that you can kind of do a little along with it. And in this, there were moments where they didn't really do that. If the chorus was a screamed chorus, it just felt a little bit more raw, and it was less like he was trying to do something that was catchy, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying catchy like poppy. I mean like, some of the In Flames songs where they do like Clayman, for example, right? There's really no singing in the or not Clayman. Yeah, Clayman. No, sorry. What's the Only for the Weak, right? Sell me the infection. It's only for the weak. No need for sympathy. Like, I remember that, and you can sort of sing along with it. You can feel it because it's not complex in a way that isn't catchy, if that makes sense. Maybe that's a bad example, but on this album, there were moments where he was doing things that weren't catchy, and I feel like he was doing that on purpose to sort of subvert your In Flames expectations, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm not a vocal expert, but that was sort of one of the feelings that I got for something, just a small thing, I guess, there. But so awesome. That's so cool. Thank you so much for watching the video. Like I said, on my channel, I have so many awesome things coming up. If you enjoyed the way that I reacted to this album, I have so many other reactions on my channel. You can just click on my channel, click on uploads or videos. I'm not sure what it says anymore. Scroll through and see if I listened to one of your favorite bands. I did Soilwork last year. I've done all sorts of awesome things. And I'm just see if there's anything cool. Watch some of my videos if you want to. And remember that I'm going to be doing those Metallica videos, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All, leading up to 72 Seasons. I don't have a schedule for those or anything. I just know I'll be releasing them sometime before those come out. I don't know for sure if I'm going to wait and try to do them each week leading up or something. I have Ride the Lightning already recorded, so I might just edit that one and put it out. But I don't know what the best way to do that is, to get onto algorithms and stuff. Maybe it would be better to schedule them. Maybe I should release them all 3 days in a row or something, so YouTube thinks hey, this guy's doing lots of stuff with Metallica. He's getting 100 views instead of 50 on his videos with all these. We should push this in some algorithm or whatever. I don't know. But like I said, we also got Ellie Goulding, we got Depeche Mode, we got And One, we got what else is coming out? I know there's other things that are coming out that I'm really looking forward to. I'm hoping maybe we get a new Orbit Culture album this year, if you're familiar with them. Their last album, Nia, was phenomenal, and it was actually, I think, my #2 album of that year, 2 years ago. So I'm ready for a new Orbit Culture album. We might get a new Spirit Box album this year if they want to do an album every 2 years. I don't know if they're going to do that or not, but I'm sure that they're ready to move away from what they did with their first album, and I'm sure they have new stuff percolating. So if we would get a new Spirit Box album, that would be phenomenal. This is just conjecture, and I'm just, whatever. At this point, I'm just wasting time. But we got lots of good stuff coming up, I guess, is what I'm saying. And I hope to do some of those things justice. And so, yeah. That's everything we got planned. That's what I got going. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being a fan of In Flames. If anyone from the In Flames camp ever sees this, which I highly doubt, just know that your band is phenomenal. You mean so much to me and so many other fans around the world. Thank you for doing what you do. And thank you for watching this video. I will see you next time.
Now, I gotta eat these cherries. The spoon is still over here on the floor. I'm gonna try to reach it. Got it. Okay. How many did I put in here? Jeez. This is the stupidest thing. Last one.